Welcome to Coffee with T, and I'm T, and I am so excited to be here today because we have a industry executive icon in the building. And when you meet him, and when just let me just read his bio, and this is going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. TC Thompkins is a seasoned music executive and the CEO of TC Thompkins LLC. With over 50 years of experience in the music industry, a native of East Texas and proud Vietnam veteran, Tompkins' passion for music drove him to immerse himself in the industry where he initially had no experience. His determination to succeed fueled a remarkable career that began at Stax Records in 1971, where he started in sales and transitioned into radio promotions. Throughout his career, Tompkins held leadership roles at prominent labels such as Capitol, ABC Records, CBS, and Epic Records, where he rose to the position of vice president. His impact on the music industry is undeniable, having been instrumental in shaping the careers of some of the most iconic artists of our time. He played a key role in the success of artists such as Sade, Luther Vandross, Teddy Riley, Patti LaBelle, M. Tume, Teena Marie, the Isley Brothers, the Jacksons, and Michael Jackson, among others. Today, TC Thompkins is actively involved in developing both independent and major artists on a local, national, and global scale. He utilizes digital platforms, radio promotion, social media, marketing, touring, and press to help artists grow and succeed. Tompkins is also a sought-after speaker, providing valuable insight to those involved in or aspiring to enter the music industry. In addition to his work with major labels and artists, Tompkins eventually ventured into entrepreneurship, founding his company, TC Thompkins LLC. He is also the author of When Radio Was King, a book reflecting on his illustrious career and the golden era of radio promotions. His continued contributions make him a highly respected, sought-after figure in the music industry. Help me welcome Mr. TC Thompkins.
I am so flattered. I'm flattered after that introductory. I mean, what can I say? You know, I don't know what to say. I am yours. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. Listen, I listened to your book, and I thank James Scott for introducing me to you, because I listened to your book and I was like, sometimes you just don't know who you have access to. And for him to open up a door like this is incredible, because I am a music industry person. I'm just getting back into it. And I'm just excited to have you here. So let's just get started and let's just talk about how you first came to love music. Now, we read this whole bio. We read this whole bio. Okay. What is something that you want people to know outside of this bio? Because we have these bios and sometimes people miss the main thing that you want people to know about TC.
Well, I mean, my family. That's really what makes me. Okay. And I think I mentioned it in the book that one of the main reasons that I feel like I'm successful in what I did was that I had a woman that I honored, respected, and trusted. You know, and once you have that, you free. It frees you. You know, it frees you to compete. And matter of fact, my number one fan, my number one rooter was my wife. So she was my secret weapon. I put it that way.
Whoa, listen. And we were just talking about this behind stage before we came on live, that while I was listening to your book, at the very end, you do a dedication to your wife. And I said, wow, I've never heard somebody introduce their wife as a Proverbs 31 woman. And she was all of those things. She decorated the house. She used her money. When you came home, she was building dressers and doing all the things. And I said, whoa, so many of us talk about we a Proverbs 31 woman. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, everybody always wants to talk about the glory and the big successes that I've had and the artists. But, you know, I remember all the hard times. You know, that's what really makes you. Is the hard times, you know, because when I decided to go back into the industry, because I had left the industry for a minute and went into TV advertisement, But once I decided to go back in the industry, because once I left CBS and I went to work for Teddy Riley and I ran his company, and which, like you said in the beginning, I signed Teddy when he was 15 years old. I knew right away. Another thing I guess I was just blessed with was a commercial ear. I've always been able to hear what would be successful, what would develop, what audience would respond to, and that sort of thing. So that's sort of something that has carried me, because a lot of times in the industry, in the positions that I had, labels would disagree with what I wanted to do. You know, I mean, a lot of the projects that you were just talking about, labels didn't want to release them. You know,
yeah, so I saw that in the book.
Perfect example is the Patti LaBelle record that I work. I love Patti LaBelle. I just never felt like CBS treated her with the kind of prestige I think that she deserved. You know,
wow.
I'll tell you a story about that. When I went to work for CBS, I had worked for all Black labels basically before that. I worked for Capitol, but Capitol didn't have a lot of stuff together at that point. They were just really starting their Black division. So I was kind of left alone to do what I needed to do, since they didn't really know what they were doing. But once I went to work for CBS, and I was excited about the position, because CBS back in those days, and still today, I don't know how their roster is now. But they back then, CBS, which is now Sony, tried to buy up every Black label and Black artist in the country. CBS had basically bought up every Black. You know, they had Gamble and Huff, they had Philly International, they had Taboo Records, they had that, which was Clarence Avant's label. At one point, we even had Barry White, George Clinton. We had Uncle Funky had a label at CBS. So the associated labels had a ton of Black artists, but CBS proper, other than Columbia, because Columbia was the big boy, the big label back then, because, you know, Columbia had Tyrone Davis, Johnny Taylor, Cheryl Lynn, Minnie Rippleton, Bill Withers, George Duke. I mean, they just had a ton of artists. Back to my point, I had just gotten hired by CBS, and we had a conference, a world conference in London. So we flew to London, and we used to have concerts every night during the conference. We were over there for a week, and we had concerts every week and every night. And Patti LaBelle performed one night that we were there. She had the full orchestra, the whole 9 yards, the horns, the strings, you know. And I've always just loved Patti. I just love the passion that she puts into her performances. Matter of fact, after I had become sort of above the fray in music artists and stuff, where I wouldn't go to everybody's concert, Patti LaBelle was always an artist that I went to her concerts. She just put such a hell of a show. But she was performing, and I made a comment at the table. I was sitting with a lot of the vice presidents of CBS Records, because I had been misbehaving. They made me sit with them because I wasn't showing up. I wasn't showing up for none of the dinners and stuff, man. You know, I was in the streets of London. I was having the time of my life. I'm hitting all the clubs. I'm doing, man, I could do that CBS stuff later, but they made me sit with the vice president so I wouldn't sneak out and get in the streets again. And I was just making a comment about, oh man, Patti is killing it, blah, blah, blah. And one of the vice presidents that was sitting at the table with me said, shit, if I had a 40-piece orchestra, I'd sound good too. You know, and that right there sums up the attitude that they had about Patti LaBelle.
Wow.
You know, they were just never impressed with her felt like she was a diva, you know. But one thing, Patti acts like a diva.
Wow.
But yeah, CBS didn't treat her like that. But that's a story. But look, you wanted to know about my history. I started in '71 with Stax Records, right after leaving Vietnam. I left Vietnam. And matter of fact, that's where I decided that I was going to be in the music industry, was in Vietnam. Now, I have always had a love for music. And, you know, that was the only thing at that point that gave me any kind of passion. You know, I had a lot of passion for music. I wanted to be involved in it some kind of way. And when I was in Vietnam, right before I got out and came back to the States, we were all sitting around and talking about what we were going to do when we got back to the world. And I, you know, somebody asked me, and I told them, I said, I don't really have a clue of what I want to do, but what I would love to do is get in the music business. I said, that would be my dream come true, to get in the music business. And just so happened, the woman that I fell in love with lived in Memphis, Tennessee, where Stax Records was located. And when we got married, I went back to college. I was going to college at Bishop in Dallas, Texas. And she got pregnant. So I had to drop out of school and go and get a job. And when I moved to Memphis, it's when I ended up getting a job at Stax Records, which I couldn't believe. I was in pig heaven that I got that job at Stax. Because matter of fact, my wife's mother, which we were staying with at the time, lived about 2 to 3 blocks from Stax Records. Stax Records was in the hood, okay? And it was on Macklemore. And my mother-in-law lived on Gaither Parkway, which was about 2 blocks from Macklemore from Stax Records. And I worked in that area before I got a job at Stax, working for Zales Corporation, running one of their jewelry stores. And I used to sell all their artists custom jewelry, all the artists from Stax, because my wife, matter of fact, got a job with Stax Records before I did. My wife got a job at Stax Records as the tape librarian. And when I say that to people nowadays, they don't realize back in those days, all recorded material was on these big 12-inch tapes, you know. So that was all analog. And they used to have to keep these analog tapes in a special place at a special temperature. It was like a vault. And my wife ran that department. That's how I got my first position at Stax Records, was through her. You know, so I got a job in sales and then got promoted into promotions and then moved on to 3 or 4 other companies, worked for Capital. I worked with Natalie Cole on her first project. Love Natalie, sweetheart, great person. Matter of fact, I was in contact with Natalie because right before Natalie passed, I was working with a gospel label in Houston, and they were having some kind of big woman's event, and they were looking for a speaker. And I called Natalie, and she had agreed to do it. And I think she got ill before that, you know, before the event, and passed or something. But I was real close with Natalie. She was just a lot of artists that you work with, but there are not a lot of artists that you communicate with and keep in touch with and have a relationship with. Because I've worked with thousands of acts. So, you know, there are a few that I really had a close relationship with. And Michael was one of those. As funny as it seems, Michael, as hard as it was to get to know him, because he was a very difficult person to get to know and very standoffish, kind of cautious, which I can understand, okay?
Wait,
Because
when you say Michael, before you move past that, you mean Michael Jackson?
Yes, Michael Jackson. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that ain't but one Michael. Shit. If you're talking about music, it's just only one Michael, period. But Michael was a cautious individual. He did not friend up with me easily. So it took me months to create a relationship with him. But I think what really happened was that I flew out to his mother's house before the release of Thriller. And we had a long talk. And I was concerned about how the label was treating his material and treating him. And I went out there and spoke to him about it. And then we developed a relationship from that point on, because he saw that I was genuinely interested in taking care of him, making sure that, you know, the label, even though I was a label representative, I was more of an artist person than I was a label person. That's probably why I'm not at a label anymore, you know, because I just was really more genuinely interested in the artist. I had a great relationship with Luther.
Was that because of your upbringing with your the integrity that your grandfather instilled in you? That
I mean, I just said, you know, I didn't fit at a lot of people because there's certain things I just wouldn't do, and I've always been arrogant, is what white people say. I don't think I'm arrogant, but everybody say I'm an uppity nigga. You know, that's I used to hear that all the time when I was at CBS. So.
Was it arrogance or confidence?
I was very confident in what I did, and I would try anything. You know, if it was a dare or something of that nature that you couldn't do this, you know, Sade was like a dare, you know, because they didn't know what to do with her. I tell people this story, and they just can't believe that a label had her and was holding her on the shelf because they didn't know what to do with her. You know, but I was always, you know, I had just come back from Vietnam. Now you don't find any people in the music industry that are veterans. Just very few. Okay?
And let me just say this about that. In your book, I read your whole book. I just want you to know that. I thought you're hilarious. And you talked about there was this guy that was going around beating people up because he wanted to get out, but he heard that switchblade. You said that taught you how crazy people really are not crazy. Talk about that.
Oh, they're crazy. Now, you can get sane in a minute. You know, I never thought he was crazy in the first place. I always thought it was a scam, you know. But I mean, since you brought it up, the story was I was stationed in Fort Lee, Virginia, and I was in the general barracks. You know, they had these big general barracks where everybody sleeps. And they used to have these partitions between every two bunks. So you would have two bunks, you'd have two guys and a partition, then there'd be another two guys, and there'd be foot lockers, and then there would be lockers against the wall where you would hang your clothes up. So I just got there. We was at Fort Lee, Virginia. I was in Petersburg, and there was a white boy in the company that he wanted to get out of the army. He wanted to get out on a medical. Okay. And everybody in the platoon knew he was trying to get out. So what he would do is in the middle of the night, he would get up in the middle of the night. He was acting like he was crazy. And he would have these spells and he'd beat the shit out of somebody in the barracks. You know, he had done this to a couple of guys, and everybody in the platoon was telling the sergeant, you got to get this guy out of here, man. You know, I mean, put him in a separate room, do something, you know, because I told my platoon leader, he gonna keep acting like this until you either lock him up or give him a discharge, you know. So it had gotten kind of real funky in the platoon. Everybody was scared. So I used to have a switchblade. Switchblade had to be, I had a switchblade about that long. And I used to sleep with it. Okay, because I saw he used to get up every night and beat people up. So I was prepared. So he came to my area one night and he's standing over me. I woke up and he's standing over me breathing. Like, I could hear him breathing, you know, and he had already, we had these metal lockers. And he hit one of the metal lockers and bent it all up and shit. And he came over to my area and stood over my bed. And when he stood over my bed, I reached my hand under my pillow and popped that switchblade. You know, I used to have these knives where you push the button and the blade pop out. he heard that switchblade open. He wandered his butt on the way down to another area. He was not that crazy, because I was gonna give him some of this blade. If he'd grabbed me, I was gonna go to jail, because I was gonna stab him up. I was scared of him. You know, he playing crazy. I didn't know if he was crazy or not. I thought it was a scam, but I knew once I popped that switchblade on him, I knew it was a scam, because he left.
Mm.
Yeah, if he was truly crazy, he would have grabbed me.
Yeah, wasn't nothing wrong with him.
There was nothing wrong with him. He's just trying to get it. They finally moved him to a separate room where he was by himself, because he was just dangerous in there. You know, and a lot of people didn't know that I had enough street in me from that. I wasn't gonna let that happen to me.
He wasn't that crazy.
I wasn't gonna be I said, I'm no punk B.
Yeah, you're about to beat me up.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be the victim.
And the key to that I heard from you is that people act crazy, but they're not crazy.
Oh no, I've seen that in life so many times. You know, that's why I don't talk a lot to people I don't know and stuff. I had an incident when we was marching. We marched. I don't know why I didn't put this in the book, but I didn't. We were marching with Stevie Wonder in Washington, D.C. for making Martin Luther King's day a birthday, a holiday. And it was me and Greg Peck. Greg Peck was, I think at the time he was working for Electra. He was vice president of Electra or something of that nature. And we were in the march, and it's snowing. And our feet are getting wet, and it's real nasty out there. And some white boy just started following us, coming up to us, talking, acting like he knew us and everything. And he was making me uncomfortable, because it just made me uncomfortable. And Peck was cool with it and everything. But I finally had to go over to him and say, hey, man, look, if you follow us anymore, I said, I'm going to knock you out. I said, I'm sure I'm going to get arrested. I said, but you're making me uncomfortable. And if you walk up behind me again like that, I said, I apologize, but I'm going to knock you the fuck out. And he left us alone.
You see how people be acting crazy until you act more crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So you work with Teddy Pendergrass. And you
boy.
said some things in a book that he would have concerts where only women could buy tickets.
Yeah, Teddy's the only artist I've ever known to do women's only concerts. Yeah, he used to do women only concerts and sell them out. He'd sell them out. Teddy used to have so many panties on the stage when he left. You couldn't get on stage. You tripped.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was amazing. God was amazing. He was an arrogant asshole, but I liked him. Yeah, he was my man. I loved him. He was a lot of fun. I know you know the story in the book about what he did to me.
Yes.
I used to mess with him all the time and tease him and ride him, because he thought he was the shit. Which he was, He
turn him
off.
off.
Yeah, he was the man. He was the man. If it hadn't been racism in this country, Teddy Pendergrass would have been the #1 male artist in the country. I guarantee you that. But you're not going to see a black male artist #1 on the pop chart singing no love song. They don't do that. You can sing about killing people and hitting it and anything ignorant that you want to, but you will not find a black artist singing a love song on white radio. Do you hear me talking to you?
I hear you.
Okay. Matter of fact, an artist that I really very seldom agree with, which I've worked with, is Tyree. Tyree was saying the same thing. Tyree had one of the biggest R&B records, I think, a couple of years ago. I worked with him on it. And pop radio wouldn't touch it. It was up in the top 10 of R&B radio for probably 3 or 4 months.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that happens all the time. I've had tons of black male artists have top 5, top 2 black records, and white radio don't touch it.
But we've had women.
Oh, women now, they'll play. And if it's hip hop, they'll play, because that is hip hop records don't be love records. They don't sing about love in hip hop. I think the last love record I think about in hip hop was LL Cool J.
I need love.
I
Yeah.
need love. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they don't sing about that shit no more, you know.
Oh
But
no.
yeah,
So
no.
why is it do you think that why do you think that they won't let the love songs of a black man go to the top?
They don't want. It's bad enough that all the black athletes are getting these women. Okay, so you don't need and you don't need. Only reason why Michael Jackson was successful is he's asexual.
Oh,
Okay, he was not.
okay.
He was not a threat.
Oh, oh, wait, we gonna get deep here today.
No,
Don't.
he was just not a threat. You know, all that child molesting and everything they accused of Michael of, which was all a lie, all about money. Because I tell anybody that's investigated for 10 years by the FBI and they don't find nothing.
There ain't nothing to find.
There ain't nothing to find. They don't have a microscope up your behind. Okay. They even took pictures of this man's genitals. I mean,
wow.
The embarrassment that man went through, because I used to try to advise him on it, and you know, he would not want to conflict anything. He'd rather pay and get the hell away from it and step back from it. And I told him I'm gonna give him a damn dime. We'd be in court till I die.
Right.
So, yeah. But he just didn't have that attitude about it. But he was probably right, because you know, as long as you fight it, it's just gonna be in the press and people gonna believe it, and it's, you know, it's just just no way to win.
There's no
once
way
you
to win.
accuse,
There's no way to win. There's no way.
Damned
if you do.
It's like with Diddy. Now, I'm not saying Diddy is innocent, but all the stuff that Diddy's been accused of now, shit, he might as well just leave the country. Ain't nothing else he can do. It's over for him. It's dead. Ain't nobody gonna touch Diddy with a 10-foot pole.
No. And again, we've seen this in the industry, and not that we're saying Diddy is innocent.
Oh
no. But the opinion of the public to be dragged that way before you make it a trial.
Yeah.
Right. They did that to Michael.
If it's a headline, they don't care. If it's sensational, if it's something that will sell papers and get viewers, who cares if it's true?
This is sad. And you've been around Michael Jackson, you've been around Teddy Pendergrass, and you've been around these people who they have had these Luther Vandross, these salacious stories about. Talk about them these artists in a human aspect of having a real conversation with Michael Jackson, who's a human, and y'all are persecuting him.
Yeah. A good human being. He was a real, genuine, great human being, just a good-hearted person. He used to send me shit all the time from all over the world. Matter of fact, my house was broken into in New Jersey, which I'm pissed about as of today, which happened a million years ago. But I wasn't mad about all the stuff, but they took all the stuff that Michael gave me. I had gifts from Michael Jackson, Clarence Avant, and Larkin All that had been given to me from during the holidays and stuff. And my daughters and I were at Disney World, and they had a feast. We were down in Disney World for a week, so they had a week to clean my house out.
Wow. And that somebody was probably watching, probably somebody you knew.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, they cleaned us out. Wow. And the insurance company didn't pay us half of what we lost. But, you know, hey, it is what it is.
But you have the experiences that nobody could ever take away from.
I have lived a very rich life as far as involvement in the industry and the artists that I've worked with. If you look at the book, I think the first 5 pages, a list of artists that I've worked with. And that's right, you had audio, but it lists every artist. As a matter of fact, I think she does that in the beginning. She goes through the artists.
I listen. Yeah, she said, listen, I'm going to name some of them for the people that's listening in case they don't know. Frankie Beverly, Natalie Cole, Rufus and Shaka Khan, the Dramatics, the Pointer Sisters. Let me see, Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross. The list goes on. Michael Jackson, the Victory Tour, the Jacksons. There were just so many people that you worked with along your journey.
I've been really blessed that I've had a lot of creative.
Tume.
Yeah, M2B, my man, Juicy Fruit. You know, the funny thing about M2B couldn't get arrested. M2B could write hits for everybody except himself.
Wow.
He did all that Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway stuff. All that stuff is M2B.
Oh.
Yeah. And he had this band, and he was not a very popular person at Epic because he was a real pro-black. He was militant as far as they saw it, you know.
Right.
Yeah. He was a very militant artist. They did, you know, they know he was very creative, but they didn't particularly like him. Because M2B would say whatever the fuck was on his mind.
And so would you.
Yeah. So he was, you know, he wasn't very well liked over there. But I knew when I heard that track, because he called me one night. I think he was recording in Patterson, somewhere in New Jersey that he was in a studio. And I lived in Teaneck. So he called me and asked me would I come to the studio. He said, T, I think I got something, man. Would you come over here to the studio? I said, sure. So I came over to the studio and I heard that drum beat, that toot, on Juicy Fruit.
Yes.
Yeah, that drum beat on Juicy Fruit. I told him, I said, that's it. So that's it, dog. Next thing he brought me was that record, Juicy Fruit. You know, and Epic didn't want to release it. 2 records Epic did. Now, you funny thing about it, you'll have a big joke about this. They thought they were too risque. Swear to God. In Between the Sheets.
What? The Isley Brothers?
And Juicy Fruit. They didn't want to release either one of them. In Between the Sheets, you got to realize, well, nobody putting out no record like that. Breathing and all that shit on the record. You know, ain't nobody doing that. You know, when I heard it, I said, oh, shit, this is it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kelly with his big fat behind.
Yes.
Just about the Isley Brothers. I love Kelly Isley and Roddy, but Kelly was a man that took care of all their business with CBS. He used to come up to the office all the time. You talking about a guy that could drink some straight vodka? Woo! Glass full. Just didn't mean nothing. Yeah, Kelly was a character. Yeah.
So I know you worked with Sade. Actually, since they don't want to say it, you was the one that really.
Oh, they had to say it. They said now they had said in the book. I had all the vice presidents write me a quotation and tell me something about me. I didn't tell them what to say. You could say whatever you wanted to say. But now that it's over, you know, it's always easy to say, oh, yeah, that was you. You did that. You know, but during the time that it happened, please.
They took your credit away. I was so mad at that. I was reading the book like, you ain't going to say.
Hey, man, I mean, and I know, matter of fact, one of my vice presidents that I'm real cool with, he quit talking to me after the book. I haven't heard from him since the book, but I could not lie. He crossed me on that Sade thing. You know, I mean, I had to beg Epic to break this girl. You know, I mean, everybody had tried to come up with a marketing plan on her. They couldn't come up with some. She turned down everybody that they sent over there. You talking about somebody arrogant. Sade. She's not arrogant. She's confident. Okay. And she was big in Europe. So she, you know, it was on us. It wasn't on her. She'd already proven that she could be a big artist. So it was on America to prove that they could do something with her material. They didn't know what to do with it. You know, they kept saying it was a jazz album. I said, it's not jazz. You know, I said, it's contemporary. You know, so I convinced them that I could convince her into doing my marketing plan. And we didn't hit it off at all at first because I'm arrogant. She's arrogant. You know, she's trying to tell me that my plan won't work. And I'm telling her she don't know what the fuck she talking about. And that's exactly what I said to her too. She don't know what the fuck you talking about. I said, I know America. I said, you may know London and Europe. I said, but America, I know. And what I said, this will work. And I think she let me do it just to shut me up. You
just
know,
to prove you wrong.
yeah. Because matter of fact, I was on tour with her when her record went top 10, which I had committed that it would. You say, I'll get this record top 10, and then we'll cross the rest of it, you know. And she did not want to release that record, Hang On To Your Love, because it was one of her earlier writings. It was something that she wrote years ago, and it was like a filler. They had just put it on the album. And then you go back and listen to the album. There ain't nothing else on that album sound like Hang On To Your Love. Because Hang On To Your Love is more of a R&B beat. Doom, 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 doom. And what made me pick it is it sounded like the track from Thriller.
Right.
The sound, if you listen to it and get that tempo, I said, that's Thriller. You know, and nobody else could hear that but me. I said, I could pop that, you know. And so I convinced her to let me release that record. And she told me, she said, okay. She said, you get this top 10, sure. So we were in Chicago, matter of fact, I think, when it went top 10. I brought the charts in her fucking room. Huh? What did I tell you? I gave her the blues. As a matter of fact, we fell out on tour.
Oh,
she could be she could be one, baby. You didn't want to rub her the wrong way. And when I first started working with her ex-boyfriend was her manager.
Oh.
And she used to kick and curse that boy like, man, I felt sorry for him. It was a white boy. I felt sorry for him. She just dogged him like nobody's business. And a matter of fact, we have a little thing, and when we were in Los Angeles, she was telling him off for something he didn't do wrong. He did wrong or something. And I basically just had enough. And I told her, I said, look, you want to see a bitch? Keep messing around. I'll show you a real bitch. I can be a bigger bitch than anybody here.
Ooh. Was she your most difficult artist to work with?
She wasn't difficult. She just was demanding. You know,
was she your most demanding artist?
Yeah. She knew when you know what your value is, you know, if you're a Rolls Royce, there ain't really nobody treat you like no fucking Ford. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was her attitude. And I appreciated that. You know, she had a certain standard that she wanted to be treated as. She wanted to be treated a certain way at a certain standard. And she did not want to be subjugated to being a Black artist. Not in the sense of denying her color or her race, but in the sense of narrowing her career.
Pigeonholing her
into being, she used to always say, I will not be another Chaka Khan.
Oh.
Hello? That's what she used to always say. Because she thought Chaka Khan was the shit. And she thought that Chakas got pigeonholed into a certain type of record. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She was right. Because Shaka was
a monster.
Yes.
Yeah. But so she did not want to be treated like she thought Chaka Khan had been treated.
Wow. Well, she knew what she wanted. That's important.
Yeah. And so I thought, the funny thing about it though, I did an interview when I finished the book in London. I did London radio. And I come to find out they don't play her on Black radio in London.
What?
Pop radio.
Wow.
Hear me talking to you?
That's interesting.
Yeah, they don't play her on Black radio.
That's very
she's a pop artist. Yeah.
Wow. So the state of the music.
She's a pop artist in the States too, even though Black radio plays her.
Right, she crossed over, but they don't cross her over there.
No, she's pop artist.
Wow. So the state of the music industry now is, I'm so disturbed by it, and I just hate it. But what do you think is the problem?
Artists not making no money. Only a few. Only the ones with a brand.
Right.
Money. If you don't have a brand, then you ain't making no money.
So do you think it's now? And I heard Nicki Minaj say that. She said it's not about talent anymore. And she was, disturbed by this too. She said it's not about talent, it's about a popularity contest.
Very true. It's very true. I tell anybody like that. If you're going to be in the music industry, you don't need social media. You don't need to know what you riding in, what you dressed in, what you so in. You know, that's one of the reasons why I like The Voice. You don't see nothing or none of that. You listen.
Yes.
And it's about the sound. It's about the music. And see, it's not about the music anymore. It's about popularity. It's about, it's about being relevant.
Yes.
And being on like Kim Kardashian and that kind of stuff. That has nothing to do with talent.
Right.
It has nothing to do with talent, And I can't really say what I feel about a lot of that stuff.
You can.
No. People hate me.
Well, I'm angry.
I feel like a lot of this is fluff. It's just a lot of fluff. No real content. It's just it's what we used to call smoke and mirrors. When we used to have a record that wasn't really doing anything and we wanted to look like it was doing something, smoke and mirrors. That was the expression we used to use. But that's what most of life is about now, man. I mean, I don't even want to get into that. But I just said that it's just a lot of BS.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just disturbed because of the level of talentlessness, if that's a word, talentlessness, and the exploitation of women. I'm so tired of seeing people booties
of women twerking and shaking their ass, and I mean, it's just what is that? What is that? I don't understand. I mean, it ain't sexy no more. You know what I'm saying? It ain't sexy no more. I don't really want to. I can't mention some of the artists that I want to mention. Okay.
I know what you're talking about. We ain't got to say no names.
Yeah, are completely talentless.
Talentless.
And I think, you know what? But I understand why they were saying, because it was a cultural thing. It ain't that they got any talent. It's cultural. It is the way of what's happening in the streets. It is that low brow. And see, America is really gone low brow on everything. We don't educate our children anymore. School system is a piece of fucking shit. I mean, matter of fact, I had a guy, I'm a big MSNBC fan. So I watch MSNBC all the time. I think they're fairer and they're a little liberal, but I'm liberal. So it was talking to some college kids about Black men blaming Kamala Harris for Joe Biden or for some of the stuff that Joe Biden did. And the guy said, they evidently know nothing about civics. I said, they don't even teach civics anymore. He said, the vice president is not the ticket. She's a supporter of the ticket. She don't have permission to do shit. It ain't like she can get in office as the VP and start making major changes. You're not the president. So they can't expect her to do things. She can make suggestions and help, but she's not the president. So, I mean, that was just an educational lesson right then.
That part.
Yeah. I mean, his kid said, hey, man, I don't understand why they want to blame her for that. She didn't have nothing to do with that. That's not her administration. She may have disagreed with it, but all she can do is voice it.
That's it.
That's it. So I just feel like America wants its public dumb.
Ooh.
I really do believe that. They want us dumb.
They do.
Matter of fact, I cannot explain Donald Trump any other way. Okay? That's the only way I can explain him. When people ask me, but how can you explain? Because I got friends of mine in Europe and Germany and England, and they be asking me, how can y'all be actually seriously considering this? I said, man, it's because America keeps its population dumb.
It's embarrassing.
And it's backfiring.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
It's backfiring. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Oh, man, please. I can't go over to Europe and explain him to nobody. I knew Trump from New York. I lived in New York for over 20 years. I knew he was a crook. everybody in the city knew he was a crook. You know, and that apprentice bullshit was just what that was, bullshit. It was a TV show. You know, people took that shit seriously, like he actually had that kind of sense. Somebody wrote that shit for him to say. he couldn't figure out how to tie his shoes without somebody helping him. You know, so I just can't explain it. I really can't explain it because it's just, I say it's an absence of sense. It's an absence of knowledge in this country. There's really, and I'm not a super intelligent person. I got good common sense.
Yes.
Okay. And I can read. You know,
where do you see the music business going? Because I know I've seen you predict artists who are great artists when other people were saying they're not good. Where do you see the music business going in the next 5 years?
Well, I know a lot of people, labels are not signing artists anymore. They're not developing artists. I'll put it that way. Matter of fact, I had 2 or 4 hot-ass R&B artists, but I was basically told that R&B is too expensive to develop anymore. You know, because the only way you can develop R&B is through radio. Because kids, if it's not hip-hop, they don't want to hear it. So it's difficult to develop R&B music, and radio or record companies are not developing artists anymore. They wait for something to happen and then they offer you a deal. That's what they do now. They don't go out and find somebody that they believe in and put the investment in that artist to make that artist a big artist. That's what they used to do.
Yes.
Yeah, they used to have artist development programs.
Yes.
They don't have that no more.
So is it rational for an R&B artist or an independent label to even to try to come out?
Well, it's difficult for a label to support R&B music, okay? Because I mean, let's just put it on the table. Shit, payola.
Oh.
You know? Yeah, I mean, you know, it's expensive.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah, it's expensive. And that just, you know, if there's no other way, because I've tried to do social media with R&B artists. Social media is not meant for R&B artists.
Wow.
No, don't work. I don't care who it is. Matter of fact, a few years ago, I had a record that was #3 in the country. A boy named George Tandy Jr. had a record called March. Hit record. Sold tons of music. Got a deal with Republic, Universal, everything. His social media sucked. I think when that record was top 2 or 3 in the country, behind Happy, Pernell Williams, and John Legend, those 2 records kept me out of #1. And I could go ask anybody in the country. I know you don't even know who George Tanner Jr. is, do you?
No.
You see the impact the radio has now? None.
Wow.
Yeah. Only 25 and up listen to radio. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Don't nobody in the teenager years listen to radio no more. And only those people don't go to do social media. They go to concerts.
Right.
And he killed doing concerts. He did fucking Atlanta probably 6 or 7 times in a year, you know, because he had #1. He had #1 record in Atlanta. You get a #1 record in Atlanta, you can make some money. Okay.
How do we turn this around?
You have to ask somebody deeper than me. Okay.
I'm asking you
because you can't beat the internet. How you gonna beat the internet? That's why I was saying in my podcast, matter of fact, which I have to say is When Radio Was King is the name of my podcast. I was just saying in my podcast that I don't blame radio. How can you compete with the internet? You can't get as many listeners. You can't get as many views. You can't have the same impact. I don't care even if you XM satellite radio, which has 30 million listeners or subscribers. You can put a record on YouTube, you'll have 30 million before the day is over.
Right.
If you got a hot ass video, put it on YouTube, you do a billions. What was that? Condom Now. What was that Korean record?
Yeah.
Condom Style.
Right.
Over 1 billion fucking views. You can't compete with that.
Wow.
You'll be everywhere at one time. That's the internet, and that's why. And matter of fact, when I did my interviews, I understand that because you only get in such a small portion of the audience if you get a hit record or radio. I get a big record in New York City at BLS or KISS. It's not going to be the whole city, so it may be 8 million people there, but I might only sell 100,000.
Wow.
Because there's only 100,000 blacks listening to that station. 150,000. So, so it takes broadening your demographics and your appeal and your audience for you to get those kind of numbers.
What advice would you give to?
I have no idea to tell artists. I would first of all tell artists, I love R&B.
I do too. That's my jam.
I love working R&B. First thing R&B needs to do is stop singing about fucking.
Come on.
First thing they need to start doing is every R&B slow jam record that I worked in the last 5 years. Ooh, oh yeah, baby, let me hit it. Ooh, and it's the same fucking subject all the time. If you have any kind of creative ability about you, you should be able to write about making love or having sex without making it such a fucking literal endorsement. You got to describe it like Cardi B, wet ass pussy, some shit like that. Yeah, you got to have some taste in your stuff. Matter of fact, Ed Sheeran and John Legend can write some of the baddest love songs in the world. Fucking The Weeknd.
Yes.
Now that's a pop artist that they play. Baddest love song, but they don't be talking about fucking.
Right.
It's about emotional connections rather than physical. Because that's what you're trying to get with a song is an emotional connection.
Oh.
And that's why I love the industry, as I say in my book, because that's the only thing. You create music, you can make somebody cry from across the field from just the music that you created. And nothing can create that kind of emotional bondage except music.
Wow. That was a whole lesson right there.
That's what makes me love this industry and love music. Yeah. I just get geeked when I hear a hit record,
Yes. Me too. And I love real music. Like I love real singing. I love harmonies. I love
absolutely. R&B. Yeah, that's why I told you I loved working with Luther. Luther was one of the best vocalists I think there will ever be, male vocalists. That boy was just a monster.
Yes.
And working with that asshole Teddy. I love working with Teddy. And Teddy Riley. Now that's somebody I have to mention because I knew when I first heard Teddy, when he was 15 years old, that he was a creative genius.
Wow.
And just a real talented kid, man.
Right.
I still he called me his uncle. But yeah, I was with him throughout his development. So I loved him. He's a great kid, a great guy, just a genius. I've just been so fortunate. And matter of fact, people tell me this all the time that I have, how do they put it? Is that God has his hand on me, or that I have, been chosen or something of that nature, that my life, because I said in the book, it's just no way that I can come from where I came from, which is a rural town in East Texas, where we didn't even have no radio station. I used to have to listen to Chicago and Shreveport and all these other places, but there was no influx of black music in my era back then. I listened to country and all that kind of stuff. So to come from that to being vice president and working with Michael Jackson on Thriller, that's a long road.
That's a long road. And you know what? When the music is just in you, there's nothing you could do about it.
Hey man, I tell as a saying that my friend has, one of my best friends is Don Carter, which used to be vice president of Motown. And he used to always say, man, you can't stop a hit record. I don't care what you do. If it's an actual, genuine hit, it's going to happen.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that. Your career is so impressive. And I just thank you so much for being.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. You're a great person, good person.
No, you are. Like, I just want people to understand that you have to go get this book. And please let them know where they can get the book.
Well, the book's available everywhere. I finally finished my audio version of it. Yeah, and it's on Audible, it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, all the websites, all the publishers, all the ebooks, all that stuff. So it's available everywhere.
When radio was king,
when radio was king.
Yeah. To go and get
this. And that title came to me as I was writing the book, because my editor was coming up with all kind of names. How you did this, how you made your bones, how you did. I said, no. But then I said, radio was king. And it was. Back then, it was king. In the music industry, it was the king.
Yes. And I just love, you were just a marketing and promotions genius. And we still need you.
Thank you. Thank you. I still love what I do. So I'm still working with artists. I got a couple of artists I'm working with now. And I'm working a couple of R&B things and a couple of hip hop things. And I'm working with a child star for a change for the first time in my career. I got a little 8-year-old girl I'm working with. So it's challenging,
Right.
So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And you're going to be working with me soon, because I got some stuff for you.
So I would love to.
I got some stuff for you.
Okay. If you got a hit, I can make it happen for you. I guarantee you that.
I'm talking mess. You're going to be impressed with what I got.
Okay. I like that. I like
somebody. I know who I'm talking to. I ain't even nervous.
Come on with it. I love it.
Yes, just give the listeners a final thought of what you would like people to know, or a nugget that you would like to leave with them.
Well, I can say this about me. I am true to my word. I've always been good about that. I don't bullshit or play with people. And I have found that to be, and you know what? And matter of fact, it is something I can live with. Me being the type of person that I am, and I didn't try to be like this. I think it is the influx of the males that raised me. I had some real strong Black men that raised me. And I just don't try to be friends with. If you're your own person, you don't have to try to be friends with people. Just be your own person and it'll come to you. And that has been my philosophy. Even when I thought it wouldn't work, or if I thought I was going to have a hard time, or it was going to be rough, I just continued on the same path, didn't change myself. Don't try to reinvent yourself. Be yourself, and you'll be successful.
Well, that was definitely a nugget for us. So I am so glad that you came through, and I look forward to continuing this relationship with you, because
anytime. Call me anytime. Now that we've broken the ice, come on with it.
Ice broken. Y'all look out for TNT.
Thank you.
Because we coming. So thank you so much for your time and your talent. I will be promoting the book. I will be sending people to you for artist development and all of those great things. So we thank you so much for tuning in to Coffee with T. We'll see you next time, same station. Love y'all. Peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.